Good afternoon, class. Before we start, may I have Cherry to lead the prayer? Thank you so much, Cherry. Before you take your seats, please pick up some pieces of paper under your chairs. Thank you. You may now take your seats. Before we proceed with our proper discussion this afternoon, we will have a game first. And this game is called Brain Out. So I will divide the class into two groups. This will be the group 1 and this will be the group 2. I will flash simple logic problems here in the monitor, and all you have to do is to answer each problem. And write your answers here on the tag boards, which I will be providing you later on. I will only give you 5 seconds to answer for each problem, and the group who gains the highest score will be declared the winner. Am I understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So here are your tag boards. Are you now ready, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So here is your question number 1. If 1 is equal to 10, 2 is equal to 20, 3 is equal to 30, and 4 is equal to 40, 10 is equal to what? Your 5 seconds is up and the answer is?
1.
1. Very good. Now for the next question. How many candies are on the table? Your 5 seconds is up and the answer is 0. Next question. How many holes are on this sweater? The answer is 8. What number, if doubled and added by 15, gives the sum of 29? Your 5 seconds is up. The answer is 7. Very good. And for the last question, what is the number under your bag? Your 5 seconds is up and the answer is 87. And wow, you get 6 over 6. All of you got 6 over 6. And that means we all deserve 5 claps for everyone. Since we are done with our warm-up this afternoon rather, I believe that you are now ready for our lesson this afternoon. Am I right, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So, now I want you to focus on the sentences or on the statements here on the board. Now, what have you observed on these statements? Yes, Jade? Very good observation. These statements lack something, and that something is punctuation marks. Now, who can come here in front and complete the statements on the board? Thank you so much, Colleen and Era. Now, let us check your answers. So, you have here, alcohol can provide an escape from family, friends, personal relationships, anything upsetting. So, you have commas and a period. Now, for the next sentence, you have a woman, comma, without her, comma, man is nothing. So, we have another period. Now class, as what we have observed, these sentences are now complete because of the punctuation marks that we used. Now for us to know more on the proper usage and for us to know more the different punctuations, this afternoon we will be tackling about okay, everybody read the rules and punctuation. Now, for us to be guided with our discussion this afternoon, here are the following objectives. Everybody read. Are the objectives clear, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now, who can tell me what is a punctuation? Yes, Colleen? Exactly. Or in other words, a punctuation is the usage of marks to make the meanings of the sentences clearer. Now, class, there are actually 14 punctuation marks. And for each punctuation, there is a corresponding rule or rules for each. Now, for us to make our discussion easier, I will divide the class into 14 groups. So, probably, you will have by pair or by threes. Now, I have here fact sheets, and inside these fact sheets are definitions for each topic or for each punctuation and examples. Now I want you to analyze with your group mates, because I will be requiring you to create 2 examples for each punctuation. Now, I want you to prepare your examples and your explanation for 5 minutes, because right after you will paste your works here on the board. So you will write your answers on the Manila papers. Am I understood, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now, you will now start working with your group mates. Here are your fact sheets. Please distribute. Okay, class, are you now ready? Your 5 minutes is up. Now, may I have the work of group 1? Please paste your work here. Okay. Okay, so let us check the answers of group 1. We have it here, period. Letter A, example, Jack and Jill went to the library to borrow literature books. Now, as what we have observed, the answer of group 1 is correct, and letter A shows that a period is used as a sentence ender. For the second example, we have Mr. and Mrs. De La Cruz bought a new television for 14,996.95. So for the second example, period is used as for abbreviation like Mr. and Mrs. And period can also be used in numbers like here, 14,996.95. Now, let's have the work of group 2. Question mark. So for the first example, when did Jack and Jill went to the library? And for the second example, will you go with us this weekend? So very good examples, group 2. Both are used to show a direct question. Now class, I want you to remember that there are also indirect questions. Now for indirect questions, we do not use a question mark. Instead, we replace a question mark with a period. Now see, for example, we have here define phonology. Now define phonology is an indirect question, therefore we use a period. Am I understood, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now let's have the work of group 3. Exclamation point. I'm truly shocked by your behavior. Very good example, group 3. And the first example shows an emotion. For the second example, I'm truly shocked by your behavior, Eric told her. Okay, now class, I want you to remember that for here in the second example, the group 3 did not use a period. Instead, we use an exclamation point. That is because when you use an exclamation point, you replace the period with this punctuation mark. Am I understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's proceed to group 4. A comma. Now for the first example, Lalaine wants the red, blue, and pink skirt. Okay, so for the first example of group 4, comma here is used to separate lists. Just like this example, Lalaine wants the red skirt, the blue, and the pink skirt. Very good, group 4. And for the second example, Jill, who is my sister, shut the door. So here in the second example, comma is used to set off non-essential words or non-essential phrases. Very good, group 4. Now let's have the work of group 5. Semicolon. I did not call myself a poet. I told people I wrote poems. Okay, and call me tomorrow. You can give me an answer then. For the 2 examples of semicolon, both are used, or a semicolon is used to separate 2 independent clauses. And for just like here in the second example, it does not only join, it does not only join two independent clauses, but also it gives a closer relationship between the two independent clauses. Now, very good, group 5. Let us now have the word of group 6. Please prepare the works also. Next groups. Now we have, let us check the work of group 6 since they are done with their explanation on the definition. Let's have a column. Letter A, Clark was planning to study 4 subjects: linguistics, chemistry, economics, and politics. Now for the first example, a colon is used to introduce what? To introduce a series. Linguistics, chemistry, economics, and politics. Now for the second example, there was one thing Edgar loved more than any other: his mother. So a colon here is used for emphasis. Very good, group 6. Now for the last example, everyone is required to bring these things: sleeping bags, utensils, and clothes. Okay, so a column here is used to introduce lists: sleeping bags, utensils, and clothes. Very good, group 6. Now let's proceed to the work of group 7. Since they are done with their definition, let us check their examples. Now we have here letter A. There is no way we get there in time, Diane said. So a quotation mark here is used to what? Just like with the definition, to enclose a statement. Now for the second example, Pete told their teacher, I saw Mike at the playground and he said, Bill started the fight, and I believed him. Now for the second example, very good, group 7, we have here one pair of quotation marks, this one. Now, when you create a quotation within quotations, the quotation marks inside a quotation mark, a pair of quotation marks, must only be a single one. So when you create a statement between quotations and quotations, you just use a single quotation for the second statement. Very good, group 7. Now let's have the work of group 8. Parenthesis. Letter A, he finally answered after taking 5 minutes to think that he did not understand the question. Now for this information, for this example, we have a parenthesis here. A parenthesis here is used to clarify. Or it's used to give an aside. Now here we can also read the statement, he finally answered that he did not understand the question. So parenthesis here is just used to clarify what is being said in the statement. Now for the second example, you try to check the works of Emily Dickinson. You will be amazed. Now here in the second example class, a parenthesis can have a period inside it, or inside the sentence, or inside the parenthesis when the sentence is a complete one. Okay, am I understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now let's check the work of group 9. We have here brackets. Letter A, Jack shook hands with his sister Jill. Now for the first example and for the second example, we have here the same examples, no? For the first one and for the second. First and second examples are the same. So we have Joe and his trusty dog was always welcome. Jack shook hands with his sister Jill. Now brackets here are used to explain or comment on the quotation. So we can also read the sentence, Jack shook hands with Jill. You will not also read his sister. And for the second example, he Mr. Jones was the last person seen at the garage. So it's the same thing. Very good, group 9. Let's have the work of group 10. Dash. Letter A example, Joe and his trusty dog was always welcome. Letter A is used to what? As what you have observed here, class, in the first example, Joe and his trusty dog was always welcome. It used a singular verb, because the words or phrases between dashes are not included in the subject. That only means to say that if your subject, Joe, is a singular, you will also use a singular verb. Am I understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now for the second example, there are writers or there are authors who use dashes between spaces. So it actually depends to you if you use this one, the first one, or the second one. Very good, group 10. Now let's check the work of group 11. Group 11, please explain your report, the definition and your examples. Thank you. Now let's check their work. For group 11, they have a punctuation of hyphen. For the first example, Emily lives in an off-campus apartment. Now here, class, you hyphenate two or more words when they come before a noun they modify. So just like this one. An off-campus apartment. Apartment is the noun that they modify. So you use a hyphen. Now for the second example, the design is state of the art. Now for the second example, class, there are adjective words which are already established compound adjectives. Now just like this example, the design is state of the art. Now we also have here another example. Form of the noun. Now say for example, here is a 2-year-old child. Not unless if it is in plural form, but because you are using a hyphen, that only means that you use this phrase. Am I understood, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now let's have the work of group 2. Let's check your examples. You have here ellipsis. Today, I guess the group 12 is not able to finish their work. Let's change this one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for the group 13, we have here an apostrophe.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now let's have the last group. Group 14. A slash. Now for the first example, my shoe size is 6.5. Okay, so slash here is used for fractions. For the second example, this talks about date, May 21, 2020. That only means that a slash can be used in a date. This is correct for the last example, that I did always love, I bring the food that I love, that till I love, I never lived enough. Now for the last example, a slash can be used to separate a line for each stanza in a poem. So this is actually a poem by Emily Dickinson. So when you write a poem, when you want to write it in just a one statement form, you may use a slash for it to emphasize that this is a different line. This line is different from this line. Am I understood, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Now, class, it is very important that you follow these rules. And before that, do you have any questions or clarifications before we proceed? If there's none, let's proceed to our first activity. Wait for a while. Okay. This is our first activity. Everybody read. Directions. On the same group, fill in the paragraph with its correct punctuation. You will be given 2 minutes to answer. So this is the paragraph, class. Now let's have our second activity. Everybody read. On a one-whole sheet of paper, formulate 2 sentences for each punctuation mark. We have here a period, question mark, exclamation point, a comma, semicolon, colon, quotation marks, parenthesis, brackets, dash, hyphen, ellipsis, apostrophe, and a slash. Class, I want you to focus on the sentences here in the mark board. Everybody read the first sentence. Let's eat grandpa. And for the second sentence, let's eat grandpa. Now what do these sentences mean? Or what have you observed in these 2 sentences? Yes, Jane? Precisely. Although these sentences are the same in form, yet they imply different meanings. Why? It is because of the presence of a comma. Now here in the first statement, this means that you are going to kill your grandpa, or you're gonna eat your grandpa. Well, however, in the second sentence, let's eat grandpa, you are telling your grandpa to eat. Now, who can tell me what is the importance of punctuation, or what is the importance in knowing the proper usage of punctuation? Miss Benji? Exactly. Knowing the proper usage of punctuation gives us a clearer and the more meaningful delivery on our messages, especially in our daily conversations. No? It is very important to know the proper usage, because if we use the punctuations incorrectly, that will only lead us to misunderstanding. Now, am I clear?
Yes,
Very
ma'am.
good. Now, since we are done with our discussion, and since you already know the different rules in punctuation, here is your assignment. Everybody read. Write a short narrative of your life. Make sure to make use of the different punctuation marks discussed earlier. Write it in a one of crosswise to the past, on February 28, 2020, Thursday. That will be next meeting. Class dismissed. Goodbye, class.
Bye, ma'am.